Secretary David Cameron there. Back in Gaza, the war between Israel and Hamas is still raging, with more deaths being recorded amid biting hardship. Qatar says talks in Cairo have stalled as strategies for lasting peace meet hardship. We have a report on this.
After a strike targeted at the Al-Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza, at least 13 persons have been reportedly killed, including 7 children, and more than 25 injured. This is according to officials of the Al-Sakamata hospital. Families whose loved ones were affected could not be consoled. In the refugee camp, the people of Gaza have been starving for 6 months without access to essential food, clean water, and health care. Health problems and diseases are spreading in the vicinity of the camp where the sewage stagnates. Meanwhile, Qatar's Prime Minister says negotiations between Israel and Hamas to secure a truce in Gaza and hostage exchange have stalled. Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani told a news conference with the Romanian Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu that mediation has been going through sensitive stages, with some stalling, but efforts have been made to address the situation. Qatar, with the United States and Egypt, have been engaged in weeks of behind-the-scenes talks to secure a truce in Gaza and the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails.
For more on the proposed sanctions on Iran and the raging war in the Middle East, global affairs analyst Jide Ojo joins me from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Thank you for joining us on World Now. Well, the U.S. and European Union are looking at imposing further sanctions on Iran. What is the implication of this?
Well, the implication is just to de-escalate capacity of Iran to launch drones and missiles, given the fact that what happened over the weekend was the first time there was a direct attack on Israel. All this while since 1979, when Ayatollah Khomeini declared war on Israel, they have been fighting more or less a proxy war. Iran has been using its proxies like Hezbollah, the Hamas, and Houthi in Yemen to fight its war. But what happened as a reprisal to what Israel allegedly did in Damascus, Syria, on the 1st of April, shows that Iran has the capacity to retaliate whatever Israel is bringing on. And it has actually threatened that if there is further reprisal on the part of Israel, it will be met with severe sanctions. So it's in the best interest of the Western world to degrade the capacity of Iran, particularly Iran is still selling oil. Iran is purported to have nuclear weapons. Iran has ally in Russia, who is supporting it with even aircraft and air capacity. And so the sanction is targeting at lowering or degrading the capacity of Iran to fight back. But you see, action and reaction are equal and opposite, as we are taught in physics. If Israel did not attack the consulate of Iran on the 1st of April, Iran would not have had the cause or the gut to launch those 300 missiles and drones directly on Israel. But you also need to understand the part of Israel. Israel has seen that Iran is using Syria to funnel arms and ammunition to Hezbollah in Lebanon, using the Syrian soil. And if it does not interdict, because there are so many cells it has in Syria, if it does not interdict and allow smooth passages of these arms and ammunition, there will continue to be threats to the existence of Israel. So Israel is actually caught in a catch-22 situation. It wants to cut off supply to Hezbollah, to Hamas, to Houthi, but at the same time, while it's trying to neutralize the sponsor of these, attacks indirectly, which is the Iran also has developed some capacity to retaliate. And that is why the entire global community is asking for the escalation of this conflict, because it has implications on the Middle East and the entire global community.
Indeed. And this is somewhat taking us back to October 7th, 2023, the start of the Israel-Hamas war. You have mentioned that Israel is fighting a proxy war. And so far, its response to the Iranian attack has actually been on the, it has been a diplomatic offensive. Do you perceive at any point it could become actual combat?
Of course, it's getting there. Almost on a daily basis, Israel is fencing off attack from Hezbollah on its soil. Don't forget Lebanon and Israel shares border, and there has been a lot of attack on Israel. There has also been attack on Israel and even the other global community by Houthi rebels that are being supported by Iran in Yemen. And Hamas, as we know it, also have been receiving training and financial support from Iran. So if Israel does not take action, is facing existential threat from Iran in particular and from the Middle East. Don't forget, Israel is more like in the midst of its enemies. And since the Yom Kippur War of 1973, it has had to fight daily or yearly for its own existence. So it's a very tense situation, but I think what the global community has done, and I like what Rishi Sunak, of Prime Minister of Britain, has done, calling for the escalation of this conflict, because the more you stoke the embers of this conflict, the more innocent souls will suffer, the more the economy of Middle East and the global community will be badly affected, the more there will be human rights violation, and the more that will witness a lot of bloodletting. So it's a very, very dicey situation the world has on its hands. And it's good that there is diplomatic effort to de-escalate the tension. Iran has promised that it has responded and it will leave it at that. But if Israel should attack it again, it will also suffer another reprisal. So it is best to just allow Israel not to further retaliate against Gaza. I know that the War Cabinet of Israel has been meeting in the past few days to work out modalities of a reprisal against Iran. But that will further escalate tension and will create security threats to the entire Middle East and by extension, the global community.
All right, let's talk about Tehran's missile program. It has actually been a subject of international concern. The UN Security Council last October lifted sanctions, but the EU and US still have sanctions in place. Do you see this latest development now emboldening or weakening Iran's resolve, as it were?
Well, it will definitely embolden Iran. Iran also, given its Islamic revolution spearheaded by Ayatollah Khomeini in 1979, Iran has proven time and again. Don't forget the 7-year war it fought with Iraq and all the other conflict it has had with several of its neighbors. So Iran has also been like the rallying point for the Islamic Revolution, the Shia, particularly the Shiite movement across the globe. In fact, do you know that it's actually the Iran that is sponsoring the Shiite movement in Nigeria, the one that Zakzaki is leading? Record of human rights violations and while they celebrate their whatever festival they are. So Iran has been a rallying point for all Islamic revolution. And in doing that, it has also created a lot of tension. Imagine Iran saying that it does not want the existence of Israel. It has not hidden its disdain for the state of Israel, and it has pledged openly that it will see to the demise of Israel's state. So when you know your enemy, it's very easy for you to fight back. So what all of this means is that both the Israeli and the Iranian are aware of each other's strengths. But don't forget that the Europe and America, that Israel, the state of Iran, and that also further exacerbates the proxy war that we are talking about, which is why it has been very difficult to have a unanimous sanction or effective economic sanction against Tehran, because Russia being a member of the Security Council means that Russia will always veto whatever sanction that the UN wants to impose on Iran. And that means that there will be sabotage, there will be no unanimous implementation of those sanctions. So the sanctions are there. In fact, the sanctions that US has placed on Iran has been there, but UK has been very circumspect in going the way of US, rather calling for more dialogue, more resolution of the conflict, so that we will minimize casualties and minimize tension and minimize losses, as it were.
All right, we'll continue to follow developments from there in the days ahead. Dr. Jide Ojo is a global affairs analyst. Thank you very much for joining us on World Now.
It's my pleasure.